Thanks so much, Chairman Smith and Ranking Member Rounds. Really appreciate your doing this hearing. It's an important subject so we can highlight the transit needs for rural America in addition to urban America. You know, transit's almost always thought of as an urban issue, but small bus operations and on-demand transit operations play key roles in connecting low-income citizens in rural communities too. And so I want to focus my questions today on making sure Congress doesn't lose sight of how transit can work in rural areas as we work on an infrastructure bill. So I'd like to ask any of the witnesses. I've heard that bus formula program may not be providing the type of support that rural areas need. Not only has this program been deprioritized by Congress compared to other FTA programs, but I've heard that the level of support being provided to rural areas is insufficient to meet the needs of the transit agencies that operate in rural areas. So what have your experiences been with the bus formula program?
This is Brad, and I'll take that one. So our experiences with the bus formula program have actually been that most of our rural transit agencies have a aging fleet. So the amount of buses that are available statewide under the current funding are not meeting the needs of even the existing fleets that we have, let alone any expansions into further routes for any of our rural transit systems here. We had that recent federal grant, which Minnesota was a beneficiary of, which has definitely helped to get us caught back up. But that's just one-time burst funding and is not sustainable over the long term. So in short, I would say the bus formula grant has to be rethought or reinvested in so that our transit systems don't become aging rattle traps, so to speak, of unsafe transportation.
So is the rural set aside for the competitive bus grants adequate? And how impactful would it be if Congress required a higher percentage of competitive grants being set aside for rural areas in this program?
It would be. I want to be careful what I say here. So it would be outstanding if we were able to set aside more money for buses. That said, it could not. It would be not beneficial if it was at the expense of other programs. So it's just as important that we invest in technology, in operations, in the other parts of rural transportation. So I would definitely say more investment in vans and in buses and in the opportunities for those would be beneficial, but not at the cost of other portions of the transit needs.
So similar to the bus formula program, Congress has also deprioritized the rural area formula program. Can any of you talk about why this program is important in your daily operations?
Senator Loomis, I'm Barb Klein from your neighboring South Dakota, and for us, absolutely, additional funding, even a lower match so people could update fleets and so forth would be very beneficial. For the 6 agencies that we're working with in Wyoming, I know that they're dealing with fleet sizes that need to be updated. And in fact, we have a memorandum of agreement with them where they're providing veteran transportation free of charge through a federal grant that we are a sub-recipient of. So more is better, less match would be great.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Would you support Congress prioritizing the rural area formula program in this reauthorization, giving you the resources your organizations need? I know you got resources during the COVID pandemic, but after COVID resources are gone, the challenges that you all face running a transit agency in a rural area will still remain. So how do you respond to that?
Higher is better. You know, the more funding that we can get, we can do some of the things that Senator Warnock was talking about, expanding hours, expanding days of service. You know, people can't do everything they need to do Monday through Friday. So I believe that you would have full support in rural transportation and in increasing that would be very appreciated.
Well, thank you so much. I want to thank the witnesses and the leadership of the committee, and I yield back.
Thank you so much, Senator Lummis.